Thank you for joining us again on another fresh edition of the podcast for education exclusively brought to you by Africa Business Radio. Taking us through the world of mathematics is Miss Queen, and she'll be treating the topic dynamic addition.
Hello learners, I'm Miss Queen and I'll be teaching Primary 2. So let's get our pencils, our rulers, erasers, sharpeners and papers ready as we learn. Our topic for the day is dynamic addition of numbers using the expansion method. We've learned what addition is, that is, to add up figures. And other words you can use in place of addition include plus, sum, total, combine, and many more. Now, when I say dynamic addition, I mean addition with regrouping. Some teachers call it addition with carrying or borrowing, meaning that in the process of adding, you might need to change group of figures either from ones to tens or from tens to 100, as the case may be, in order to make addition easier. Do note that regrouping could happen in any category. Also, remember that when adding up your numbers, you start adding from the ones or unit, then to the tens, and then to the hundreds. Now, the unit or the ones column can only take one-digit numbers, and that is the 9 ones, meaning it can only take from number 1 to numbers 9. The tens column can only take two-digit numbers, so it takes the 9 tens, meaning it can only take from 110 to 9 tens, that's from 10 to 90. And the hundreds column can only accommodate the numbers in hundreds, and that's the 9 hundreds, which is from 100 to 900. So, you regroup when the total number in a particular column exceeds the number it can take. Now, let's go to what we have to learn today. Dynamic addition using the expansion method. To use the expansion method, we will be using these 3 steps. First, you expand your numbers. Secondly, you add across. And third, you add downwards. But before we proceed, let's flex our math models on place values of numbers. And I'm sure you are super mathematician. What's the value of the digits in 326? The value of 3 is 300. The value of 2 is 2 tens, and that's 20. And the value of 6 is 6 ones, and that's 6. So 326 written in an expanded form is 300, 20, and 6. Again, what's the place value of the digits in 593? The value of 5 is 500, the value of 9 is 9 tenths, and that's 90, and the value of 3 is 3 ones, and that's 3. So, 593 written in an expanded form is 500 plus 90 plus 3. So let's take some examples on dynamic addition. Add up 567 and 125. Remember, first we expand our numbers. So 567 is 500 plus 60 plus 7. And then we have 125. As 100 plus 20 plus 5. Step 2. You add across. Add the hundreds. We have 500 plus 100. And that gives us 600. Then we have the tens. 6 tens plus 2 tens. And that gives us 8 tens. That's 80. Then you add up your ones. 7 plus 5. That gives us 12. Remember that your hundreds can only accommodate 3-digit numbers. your tens can only take 2-digit numbers and your units can only take 1-digit number. But here, we have 7 plus 5 on the units, and this amounts to 12, which is a 2-digit number. And when expanded, it gives us 110 and 2 units. Or we say 110 and 2 ones. So, here's where our dynamics come to play. We move the 110s to the tens category, so the unit is left with just 2. Also, the tens group had 8 tens earlier, so we had 110, and that makes it 9 tens, which is 90. Now the last step is add down. Remember, add down. So we go 600 plus 90 plus 2, and that brings our answer to 692. So 567 plus 125 gives us 692. Let's do a quick recap. Regrouping took place in the units category, where 7 plus 5 equals 12. 12 is a 2-digit number, and when expanded, gives us 110 and 2 units. So we move the 110s from the units to the tens category, and the other 2, which is 1 digit, remains in the unit category. In the tens category, we had 6 tens plus 2 tens, which equal 8 tens. Then we added the 1 tens that was moved from the units. So altogether, we have 6 tens plus 2 tens plus 1 10, and that gives us 9 tens. Then we went further to add up the hundreds. 500 plus 100, that gives us 600. And lastly, we took the last step, which says add down. Remember, add down. So 600 plus 90 plus 2. And then our answer is 692. That seems easy, right? Okay, let's take another example. Add up 375 and 283. Remember our first step. What's it? Expand your numbers. Beautiful. So we're gonna expand our numbers 375, and that gives us 300 plus 70 plus 5. And then we have 283, and that gives us 200 plus 80 plus 3. Now the second step. What's the second step again? Yeah, add across. Add across the categories. Add the hundreds, add the tens, and then you add the units. Adding the 100, we have 300 plus 200, and that gives us 500. Then we add the tens. 70 plus 80, that gives us 150, which is a 3-digit number. Remember, the tens can only take a 2-digit number. Now we add the units. 5 plus 3, and that gives us 8. Let's remember that the tens category again can only accommodate 2-digit numbers and not 3-digit numbers. And here we have 70 plus 80, which gives us 150. A 3-digit number, and when expanded, gives us 100, 5 tens, and 0 units. So we move the 100 to the hundreds category, and the tens category will be left with just 5 tens. Remember, the 100 category had 500 earlier, so when we had the 100, which was moved from the tens category, we have 500 plus 100, and that gives us 600s. So let's take the last step, which is what? Add down. Yes, add down. Awesome. So we go 600 plus 50 plus 8. And that brings our answer to 658. So 375 plus 283 equal 658. Again, let's do a quick recap. Regrouping took place in the tens this time. As against the first example, regrouping took place in the tens category, where 70 plus 80 equals 150. 150 is a 3-digit number, and when expanded gives us 100, 5 tens, and 0 units. So we moved the 100 from the tens category to the hundreds category, and the 50, which is a 2-digit number, remains in the 10 category. Now in the hundred category, we had 300 and 200s, which added up to 500. Then we had the 100 that was moved from the tens category. So altogether, 300s plus 200s plus 100 gives us a total of 600. And lastly, we took the last step, which says add down. Add down. Add 600 plus 50 plus 8, and that gave us 658. So 375 plus 283 equals 658. I'm super excited you've learned dynamic addition of numbers using the expansion method, and I'm sure you're excited too. Keep practicing. Remember that the more sums you get right, the stronger your math muscles will be. Bye for now, and I hope to see you in the next class.
Thank you for listening to this podcast for education. Remember, it is exclusively brought to you by Africa Business Radio. Hit us up for your feedbacks and questions at Africa Business Radio on Facebook and on Instagram, Twitter, Africa Biz Radio. Remember, you can also listen to this particular episode or any other episode of the educational podcast on our website, www.africabusinessradio.com. Visit our podcast channel and trust me, we have you covered. Until next week, bye for now.